Welcome to Terror in Tandem, a podcast about finding entertainment in the macabre. Hosted by the knowledgeable and lovable Laura and Richard Mathiasen. Each episode, we discuss the horror genre, from books to film to TV and beyond. Sometimes even from the beyond. You can find us on YouTube and Instagram at Terror in Tandem, and you'll always find our latest episode on our website, terrorintandem.com.
So serious.
I did it.
You
Yay.
did. So serious.
Why so serious?
Yeah. Exactly.
Thank you. Hello, post-Halloween.
Yeah.
The euphoria has ended.
Oktoberfest is no more.
In
now
the-
we're heading into the back end of the year where we try to crank out as many recommendations as we can find.
Cranking out in the back end. That is what we're doing here today.
It's all those things that didn't get released earlier in the year will fart their way out.
Mostly like things that are coming out in November, which is what we're recommending today. Happy November. We are going to talk about some of the definite scariest things that are happening in November. There is nothing scarier occurring in November than the recommendations we are about to make.
Well, we hope that you find some good distractions this November, and we're going to give you at least 6 ideas.
Six ideas for you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go first. I just am.
Okay,
I'm
great.
seizing it like the day.
Your neck.
Yeah, no fucking shit, man.
Don't get old, everybody.
It's
That's what everybody old tells you.
Yeah, but what's the alternative, right? I'd rather get old. So anyway, I'm going to be talking about the first thing I'm talking about. It's a series. It's a limited series, maybe.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. But so far, we're talking 6 episodes, 30 minutes long. And yep, it's the Creep Tapes.
Oh, boy.
Coming from director Patrick Bryce and writer Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass. November 15th on Shudder. And for those of you who do know, yes, it is. And for those of you that don't, this is a continuation of the low-key, amazing indie found footage series Creep, in which was created by Mark Duplass and Patrick Bryce. Now, Mark Duplass he's got such a cool career, in my opinion. Like, this guy does everything, and it seems like he just does whatever he wants. Like, he's a director, he's a writer, he does comedy, he acts in things, he does big budget AAA movies, he does indie stuff. Now he does horror. It's really cool, like, to see somebody just with that amount of freedom, and also he's good at all of it. So
He's been sort of doing this weird, like, creepy horror for a while, though.
well, in these movies, he plays this guy that is unnamed, who only goes by the screen name Peach Fuzz, which is gross and weird. And so his whole deal is luring. In the first movie, it's like a videographer, and in the second movie, it's a documentarian, luring people to his cabin where he invites them to film him, as a subject, because he's a real interesting guy, and he is. And then he just gets weirder and weirder and more confrontational and, staging these events and lying, and things just spiral. And it turns out, he lured them there to fuck with them and kill them. But Mark Duplass is so charismatic as Peach Fuzz. He's really, really makes you super uncomfortable. The way he's
got intense eye contact.
Yeah, he's got like a dead-eyed stare that lingers. And then, those moments of silence when like somebody takes a joke to serious, like really quickly with no transition. And you're like, what do I do? It's a lot of that. And then murder. So the Creep Tapes looks like, from what I can tell and from what I've read, what little's out there, it's about, I guess, early case files, if you want to call them, in Peach Fuzz's oeuvre. So yeah, same thing. He's inviting people over and messing with them and murdering them. But from the trailer, it looks like the same manic, insane energy from Mark Duplass, and also that kind of like weird, thirsty. He's like he's seeking fame, sort of, but isn't. Like, he acts in these movies like he wants to be memorialized, but it's not like he is famous, So he's like, has all of the qualities of like a really thirsty, desperate influencer sometimes, and it's just, God damn it, it's so cringe and like creepy Creepy. The Creep Tapes. November 15th on beloved Shudder.
And this is the third installment.
It is. Yeah. 6
Of
episodes.
Peach Fuzz.
You know, Creep 2 was one of those sequels that was as good, if not maybe even a little better than the first one. And also the Wolf Mask, apparently from the trailer, does make a return. So
Cool.
I think these are technically a prequel. I'm not sure, though. It's a little...
A creepwell.
Yeah, nice. But I am looking forward to it because I just recently dove into these movies after... You know, it's another, like, it's been on my list forever, and they're really, really good. But, like... I mean, I would be terrified of this guy knowing what I know about him because just, you know, red flags like almost right away. Yeah. And then it's kind of like Speak No Evil or Funny Games like we've been talking about, that sort of struggle between social norms and etiquette and like saying, hey man, what's your fucking problem, dude?
When do you start calling weird people weird?
And I would argue at this point, do it right away. They don't get less weird if you let them. God, they just run for anyway. Creep Tapes.
So my recommendation is a movie. My first one is a movie. Well, my first mention is a movie.
Great.
I'm not gonna.
I'm
say
following.
It's a recommendation.
Oh.
It's already out. It's on Prime, and it's called Cellar Door.
Nice.
It's starring Scott Speedman, so that's enough.
Everyone's favorite.
Jordana Brewster.
Yeah.
From the Fast and the Furious early iterations.
Yeah, well, all of them actually.
She's been in every single one. I thought she died at some point. Her character.
Paul Walker died in real life, but his character in the movie is still alive. They just don't show him. Okay. So she pops up every once in a while being like, he's still watching the kids. I can throw my car into people. Oh.
Was she always a driver in the movie?
Yeah, that's how she started in the first movie. She's Dominic Toretto's sister. Toretto?
And is that The Rock or Vin Diesel?
That's Vin Diesel. Oh, boy. Hold on, folks. We have 10 movies to watch back to back. I'm all caught up.
So it's her and Lawrence Fishburne randomly.
Who's never in bad movies.
No. So it's about Sarah and John. They have a miscarriage and they're looking for a home to make a new start. And they find this somewhat weird perfect dream estate. And the previous owner, played by Lawrence Fishburne, offers the couple the home. Here you go. You can have it. But the only thing you can never, ever, ever, ever do is open the cellar door. So here's your beautiful dream home estate. Mm-hmm. You just can't ever open the cellar door.
Quick question. As your podcast and life partner, would that be a deal breaker for you? Dream home, can't open the cellar door, don't ask why, go. Everything else is perfect.
It would be it would be my undoing as a somewhat stable person.
I 100% would not give a shit. I would absolutely be like, everything's perfect and you're giving me a break. That's fine. It's one rule. I can follow that rule.
Because then you don't have to spend all your time in the cellar.
Yeah, it would be a break for me. But honestly, I've never understood Gremlins or any of those movies where people can't follow simple fucking rules. I find it very reassuring that someone in real life, people don't tell you the rules so clear cut. If someone in a movie is like, just don't do this one thing and you're fine.
Under any circumstances is the point.
I would make.
So if you heard screaming, help me, if you heard my voice, say you couldn't find me in the house and I was like, I'm locked in the cellar, you have to let me out, you wouldn't open the door?
I just have one question. Did Lawrence Fishburne say under no circumstance open the cellar door?
Yeah.
Then no, I'm not.
Are you kidding?
Because I'll probably,
baloney.
The moment I open the door, you appear in the driveway what's going on? And then I'm talking to a disgusting version of you that's eating me.
Yeah. So if they ever peek inside, they have to return the keys.
This has been brief tangent.
So I think it's an interesting premise. I heard that, Scott Speedman and Jordana Brewster's couple situation is
chemistry
compelling.
Yeah. Couple situation is compelling. Yeah. As a middle-aged couple just trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. That's fine.
So check it out.
Great. The cellar door, everybody. I'm as excited
Don't
as
open
you
it.
are.
I
Don't.
guess
Don't.
even if I was locked in there and needed help,
This
nobody's
man
coming to save me.
Shout out to Lawrence Fishburne for having like the greatest, most pragmatic advice in any horror movie in Event Horizon when he's like, nope, fuck it, we're gonna blow this shit up. We're done.
He's described as cartoonishly dubious.
Cartoonishly dubious. Yes.
Don't open the cellar
Lawrence
door.
Fishburne, you know.
I just think that there would be things that would compel me to open it, and I would open it.
Well,
Even
that
just a crack, but
is
sorry.
compelling.
Got to pack up and leave again.
In for a crack, in for a pound. So my next recommendation is also a movie. This one's coming out November 8th in theaters, and we're talking about Heretic from directors Scott Beck and Brian Woods, who also wrote this and also wrote the Quiet Place series. So
Nice.
they're cool. This is another A24 joint. A24 is A-OK with me. I like pretty much everything they do. So in this one, Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets and Chloe East from Stuff, they star as two Mormon people going to house to house doing Mormon things. Yeah, like whatever their sisters. I don't know. Are they allowed to be called women? But so two Mormons going door to door doing Mormon things, and they knock on Hugh Grant's door, which you might think is fine. In this situation, though, it's a really, really bad deal for the Mormon ladies. Yeah. So Hugh Grant plays a weirdo who brings them in and traps them.
More Bibles than they do.
He traps them in his house and subjects them to a series of religious questions, philosophical quandaries, and deadly traps. So it's kind of a little bit Saw, but with a more interesting motif.
He's like testing their
faith.
Yeah,
basically like
their knowledge, probably.
It's like the arguments I used to get in with my fellow Christians when I was still young enough to think I could change someone's mind.
Fellow Christians?
When I was a Christian.
Oh, okay.
As a kid.
Yeah.
Getting in trouble for asking questions. Like when you're young, you still think that people change their minds about things, so you argue. But then when you're older, you're just like, I just want to be left alone.
Yes.
You're nuts, please. You're so violent. Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, this movie, okay. It's been getting a lot of great buzz, especially based around Hugh Grant's performance. I guess he's a real diabolical motherfucker in this. It looks very cool, like really, really stylish, well shot. I love the premise. Topher Grace pops in as the Mormon elder, which well cast. I mean, he really does kind of look like he could be that.
He can probably come at this role from experience.
I'm guessing he's the one who gives the women permission to speak. So I am looking forward to this because I am going to throw it out there. I'm not sure who to root for here. Do I root for the two Mormons that knock on people's door and talk about Mormon stuff, even though you didn't want them to or ask them to, and then when you try to politely decline, they just talk more about it? Or the killer? It's a tough one.
We don't know.
Tough one.
Right?
Well, even if he's not a killer, he does build elaborate deadly traps in his house and trap women in there. So I think that's bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, Heretic. Great title. I love that word. It's such a charged word. It really makes you think like you're about to get branded or put on a rack or something.
Yeah, for sure.
November 8th, theaters.
Excellent. Wow.
From A24.
Coming up. I have a November 8th. Also a film, but coming to Shudder. It's a Shudder exclusive.
What?
You can Shudder in and Shudder down.
This is unprecedented news.
It's called Black Cab.
Damn you.
And it's starring George Bakari, Nick Frost. Yeah, Nick Frost, you heard it.
From
He's gonna be in
Spaced?
a couple of horror movies.
I know.
Here.
Listen, I love this.
Spaced.
This is what Spaced
forever ago
changed my life. Jessica Stevenson and Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright. Anyway, I love the very natural transition of young comedians once they become middle aged and like their faces get creasy, they turn into horror villains. It's amazing, or like real like dramatic actors, because you mine.
Like
so much tragedy. Yeah, you mind so many like dark things as a comedian that when your face looks scary as an old person, it's just a natural transition. I am excited as fuck because Nick Frost on Spaced, he played like a weirdly aggressive guy who was funny. I mean, it was for laughs, but I'm excited to see him play a weirdly aggressive person for scares.
Yeah. So George Bakari, Nick Frost, and Sinov Carlson, which is an amazing first name.
Oh yeah,
Sinovi maybe.
It's got the like the Norwegian ooh.
And it's directed by Bruce Goddison, and
Son of God.
it's about a couple who spends a night out. They get a cab with a seemingly friendly driver,
A British
played by
black cab.
Nick Frost. But instead of going home, their cab driver leads them to a remote haunted road, and it's tagged as supernatural horror. So I think some maybe sacrificial weirdo alien.
The trailer has
type
a
stuff is
a
gonna
vengeful like ghost lady in it.
Yeah.
I guess he's like bringing him out to sacrifice to her or something.
Yeah, he's probably so that he can get money or.
I dig the
We'll see.
idea of like getting kidnapped by a taxi driver is scary on its own, and then you throw in dead vengeful ghost monster.
And also, you just were having a really fun night, and you probably aren't paying much attention to where you're going, and all of a sudden you're in this scary road. In the
Scary
middle of
road.
nowhere.
Is this? Excuse me. Did you just take a left onto Scary Road?
Yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
I
And they
wanted to
hail
go
the
down
cab,
Thunder
so
Road.
It's probably like not an Uber tracked thing.
No,
You know?
no, it's a black cab. It's like, yeah. So it's old school.
Where the doors open on both ways.
No, they open up the opposite way, like
Yeah.
backwards. Yeah.
Or both ways sometimes. Sometimes they open both ways, and one person could get in facing
Yeah.
away from the driver, and the other can face towards the
And you
driver.
just expect that you get into one of those, and it's going to be like a cheery old, oh my,
Well,
where
I
do you
think
want
that's
to
how
go?
it starts.
Yeah.
I think that's how Nick Frost starts.
Do, do, do,
out.
do, do, do. Yeah.
I'm just gonna get you. Oh, there's a spot of construction on the route.
Oh goodness. Wow. We're getting some calls from overseas. I can see. All right.
So that comes out on Shudder November 8th.
My last one is, well, listen, folks. I've been inspired by a recent podcast episode I listened to from just a real great couple
Oh, it's us.
on horror documentaries. My last one is a horror documentary.
Nice.
It
New
is
one?
a new one. It's
Wow.
called Doc of Chucky.
Oh, right. I
Keeping
did see
with
this.
the theme. Oh, folks. I'm
And
okay.
it's not Chucky's doctor.
No, this is a real investment here for the tiny homies, for the plastic shorties. A 5-hour documentary on all things Chucky, from the movies to the series and the cultural phenomenon that is Charles Lee Ray, aka the Good Guy Doll, aka Chucky. So, you know, it was a little heartbreaking. The surprisingly awesome. Well, I shouldn't say surprisingly. Every single thing from Child's Play has been either pretty good or great, except the reboot, which stank. But that wasn't Don Mancini. Anyway, this is like a real retrospective of everything from the first movie to the now recently canceled series. It just had 3 seasons on Sci-Fi, and now it's done. But Don
It was pretty
Mancini,
good, right?
it was good. Had, you know, everybody from the movies, from Brad Dourif to Fiona Dourif, and also Devon Sawa, you know, always like that. And Don Mancini has said, don't worry, they're developing another movie.
Oh, great.
Very excited about that. Wow, eye roll.
Are they all coming up in
hear
the
eyes rolling.
Are they all coming into the doc?
Yeah, so this is, you know, it's 5 hours of cast, crew, looking back of a lot of Don Mancini stories, talking to Brad Dourif, talking to, you know, like everybody. I haven't watched it yet. It is already streaming on Shudder. It came out on November 1st. I am still catching up with the last of season 3, which really expands things, you know, in a Chucky 2028 is all I'm saying. So I'm probably going to watch this in installments. It's a long one, but I love these movies. I remember catching the trailer for the first Child's Play when I was just a kid, and I had a My Buddy doll, and I had a really difficult night that night. I didn't get any sleep because I just stared at the My Buddy doll.
Oh, we've heard your My Buddy tales.
And then my dad saw me the next day and he kind of like put it together and he was like, oh no, and got rid of the My Buddy doll. But I saw the movie and they're so good, and they've just been coming out as I get older. Like there's always a fucking Child's Play movie like a few years around the corner. It's been a while since 2017's Cult of Chucky, which was really good. The last two installments were direct-to-video, and they had direct-to-video, and they had Fiona Dourif in them, Brad Dourif's daughter, as like the new lead. But Mikey does make a return. Anyway, it's just so good. I love these movies. I love that Don Mancini has spent his entire life just really shepherding this weird, unlikely property into what is legit international cultural zeitgeist. Like everybody knows Chucky now. Like he is considered like one of the universal monsters. He's like a classic horror villain.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to Doc of Chucky. It looks like a lot of fun. If there's anyone in your life that likes these things, and I do envy you if that's the case, watch it together or watch it alone.
Sorry. I'm just not into dolls.
Doc of Chucky. I am literally into them.
So my last recommendation is, I'm cheating because it actually came out at the end of October. But it runs through November, and it is in its final season, so I really needed to mention it.
Also, you never apologize for mentioning this glorious creation.
We didn't mention it in our October recommendations. Those were really stacked, so
there were several things we missed from October because we did a double featured episode and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah, we didn't recommend
Red Rooms.
Some other things that I watched too on Netflix.
Jesus Christ.
That were really good.
Some things that are definitely on my list of the best of the year.
For sure. Anyway, this is What We Do in the Shadows, Season 6, which is the final season. Episodes are released weekly, so there is a new episode this week.
It's fine. We've cleared it. The
11
council
episodes total for this final season.
That's a short one.
It's
Isn't
normal.
it? It's always 11? God.
11, 12, 10.
Oh, it's not enough.
At the end of season 5, we saw, once again, back to human Guillermo.
Yeah, they've returned to a status quo a little bit. Like Colin Robertson's back in his normal body,
regular self. But what they do here is really interesting. What's coming up for this season is that Guillermo needs to figure out what he wants to do with his life.
Gizmo.
Because he's been wanting to be a vampire for so long, and that didn't really pan out. So I think he's going to be getting a real job.
He also has that
along with
heritage.
Colin Robinson in the workforce.
Oh, God.
And we're going to meet a new character who is a long forgotten about roommate named Jerry. He was in a 50-year super slumber.
Okay.
So there's going to be a lot of,
they've never mentioned it.
Characters.
5 seasons, they've never mentioned Jerry.
Yeah, exactly. I think they're going to show the characters facing what we're going to be facing when the series ends is sort of like, what do we watch now?
Oh.
What do we do now?
I mean, just an absolute glorious... The movie is an all-timer, and the show is absolutely on par.
And Baron comes back, played by Doug Jones, and I think he's going to be very much less decrepit.
God, it's been amazing. Nobody can... Listen, he's not to downplay his genuine skill, talent, and dedication, but nobody can sit in a fucking makeup chair like Doug Jones, man. That guy has made a career out of just being layered in prosthetics, and I imagine how many countless hours, days, weeks he has spent in a makeup chair.
Yeah, he must have some real patience.
I mean, or he can meditate really well.
Also, what's interesting is that all of these seasons are available. So
on
if
Hulu.
you haven't watched them, you should really watch them.
Just
start from the movies.
There's something that I've discovered because I recently needed to deploy this as a therapeutic method for myself, is that there's an entire community on YouTube of people who have made compilations of Laszlo Cravenworth's pronunciation of things as basically therapy.
Yeah.
And watching a supercut of Matt Berry weirdly pronounce regular words is very zen.
There's something to be said about comfort shows, especially as we approach holiday season, and maybe you're not so into all the holiday movies and carols and all the holiday prep, that if you watch something that you haven't watched before or rewatch from the start, a really quality series, I would recommend what we do in the shadows.
I'm sorry. If you said if you're not that into the holidays, we have to go into the cellar. Mariah Carey is outside right now. She is throwing ornament grenades at us. It's
Michael Myers' mask.
A massacre.
Mariah Carey wig.
She is just launching elves.
We're very into the holidays in our home, but some people might not be. So
yeah.
Go into the shadows.
Absolutely. Oh, it's so good.
What they do.
I don't think they will, but I still wonder if we won't get a little hint of Jackie Daytona coming back.
That'd be fun.
But I'm also equally fine with that just being its own one thing and never mentioned again.
Over centuries of time,
oh, God.
You know what I mean?
Jackie Daytona.
So check that out.
From Flagstaff, Arizona.
New episodes every week.
Excellent.
Through November.
Oh, listen, November is going to be okay, everybody, and we'll be fine, and there's no reason to panic about anything, and watch these things and distract thyself.
Absolutely.
That's what I'll be doing.
Terror in Tandem.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Terror in Tandem is written, produced, and recorded by Laura and Richard Mathiasen, and edited and mixed by Richard Mathiasen. Our theme was written and performed by Carrie Denver, and all other music was written and performed by David Sispanik. All opinions expressed on this podcast are our own and should be taken as such. Thanks for listening, and please remember to give us a like, a review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. We're standing right behind you.